We're not live.
Hey, hope how's it going? Apologies for the late start. We had a few little technical problems with the camera. We've had to kind of switch to a completely different camera system. So before we get started, I know there's a couple of people said hello already. Please let us know that you're here. Say hi. Otherwise, it just feels like we're talking to the screen and not really talking to anybody. And just let me know that the kind of volume's okay. Paula, can you say hi? Just make sure.
Hello. Hi.
Yeah. I've got a couple of people here. So I've got Paula, who I'll explain who she is in a minute, and I've also got Priya. I understand there's people on here that may not have had anything to do with either Team Bootcamp or the Conquer Food program in the past. So don't worry if you haven't. So yeah, like I said, we'll just wait for people to kind of give us a nod. There is a slight delay on some of the comments and what have you, but just to just to let us know that things are working and the kind of audio is working and that kind of stuff. So, and then we'll carry on with our little presentation, our launch. I'm actually quite excited about this. This is probably going to be the biggest Conquer Food sale that we've done for many years.
Forever, yeah. Almost. It gives me a little bit of a flutter in the heart, actually. A little bit of nerves. That's terrible, but yeah, it is. It is the biggest one we've done ever.
Okay, throughout this presentation, I have got the ability to kind of bring your name and questions up on the screen. So if you do have questions and I think it'll benefit other people, then I will bring them up and kind of share them. So hello to Camilla. Who else have we got? We've got Mo. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Al, hi. And then Al's also asking, is it starting yet? And yeah, we're about to kick off. So I've also got just off screen with just the other side of Paula's microphone. Boom. Again, apologies for that, for the technical setup. But Priya, who's going to be chipping in. And if anybody has kind of made an inquiry to Team Bootcamp or the Conquer Food program in the past, chances are they've spoke to Priya. Priya handles the sales and bookings and that kind of stuff. And there's also got a great story herself, so she'll be talking about that. So let's kind of get into it. You're happy enough to get into it?
Yeah, you're just looking at something that's come up there. Is that, I haven't got my glasses on, which is terrible. Is that hello from
Shetland?
How
you doing, Nicola? You okay?
Yay.
So it really are, people watching us from all over the world. So that's great. Okay, let me I think I can take that off. Okay, so I've got a couple of slides. First of all, introduce yourself. Say hello. We do pride ourselves on having an extreme weight loss and food kind of, what would you call it? Like food, not so much addiction sometimes, but a community. We do pride ourselves on having a community, and that starts by kind of introducing yourself. So say hello, and we kind of know who's on there, and it's not that weird thing where you're just talking to a screen and you're like, oh, I hope somebody's listening. Okay, we're just talking about the Conquer Food program now. So the Conquer Food program, as its name suggests, is a program that's designed as an alternative to bariatric surgery, as an alternative to some of the extreme weight loss solutions out there. Obviously, it's non-surgical, is extremely powerful, which we'll prove to you in a bit. It's been put together really in a different way that a lot of kind of weight loss and food programs have, purely because of our own experiences, Paul and I's own experiences, which again we'll talk about as we crack on. So this is different, and you might be sitting there thinking, I've tried everything, or tried most things in the past, and nothing's really worked, or I'm not, I'm no further forward, or it worked for a bit and then stopped working, or whatever. And I just want to sort of put your mind at ease and just say, this is different. So please hear us out before you start sort of jumping off because you think it's just the same. What I also want to do as well is just suggest that this really is a memorable moment, because it could well be a very pivotal time. In a bit, I'm going to ask Priya to talk about her experience on the Conquer Food program. And, she has in the past has spoken about the moment where she kind of called up to speak to Paula to book on, and how that was the moment really where her life changed in lots of different ways. And this is that moment for you. So remember that. And hand in hand with that, you may be thinking kind of, is this for you? You know, are you right for the Conquer Food program or whatever? Now, I've got a couple of slides where I've got some loose criteria, and I'm going to get Paula and Priya to talk about those from their own experiences and people that they've spoken to. So the first one is, if you're sat at home and you can't stop binging or eating sugar, fast foods, I think we said like fatty, salty, sweet foods, you know, and you kind of overconsume and you're really struggling with that, then this program is for you. Paula, can you just expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, of course I can. I think the most important thing is people say diets don't work or boot camps don't work or, you know, training and going to different programs don't work. Actually, they do. I think the hardest thing when you embark on this journey is understanding that you have to work for yourself. And I think that's key, and it's something that I've learned. It's probably been one of the hardest lessons that I've ever learned, is that so many of us lose weight, we combat our addictions, if it's sugar or if it's binge eating, and then find that 6 months, a year down the line, we're back to where we started. And so I think what this program tackles is, why does that happen? What is it about our belief systems, the way we think about ourselves, that pushes us slowly back into those old patterns of behaviors? One of the things that I always say to everybody is, you know, on any program, especially a residential program like ours, I can give you your weight loss. I can give you your weight loss before you even start, because it's going to happen. If you follow the program, you will lose weight. If you follow the program nutrition wise, you will know what to eat. What I can't give you is sustainability, because that is your responsibility and yours alone. And so what this program does in the mindset aspect of it is it gives you all the tools that you need for sustainability. But we are not in your head. You're in your head on your own. And that's where the work comes in. And that's why often we go back to those old patterns of behaviors, because the old triggers throw themselves up and we're back to square one if we don't take on board the mindset that we're taught, really. So the most important thing is the mindset. Have I gone off on a complete tangent?
No, but you did say, oh my God, it's gonna go on forever. And you're like, oh, okay.
Sorry, I feel really strongly about it.
No, that's great. We're gonna move on. A couple of things. A few people have kind of Alison, is it started? Yeah, we've covered that one. Nicholas from Shetland.
Nima.
Sharon. Siobhan, is it? Siobhan saying hello. And also Nima. How you doing, Nima? Nima, if you've got comments, then, you know, from your time on the Conquer Food program, please share them, because, you know, you've always got some good stuff to say. So that'd be really helpful. Okay, so that's that's the first sort of criteria. The next one is if you're lacking the motivation and determination to get started. And I'm going to bring somehow slide that across. There we go, so we can see Priya. So Priya, can you just talk to us a little bit about that, you know, with people that you speak to, and perhaps your own experience about motivation and determination?
So a lot of this comes down to our mindset, like Paul has already recognized there, that it is really important. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that sometimes we just don't want to get up and do things. Sometimes we find it easier to sit back and not put in the work, and we lose motivation because we think, how are we ever going to get up? How are we ever going to do this? Can I ever do this? Am I capable of doing it? And the real truth is that actually we all can. We all have the capability, if we put our minds to it, to really get up, really persevere through what usually is the hardest time for the first few weeks, even getting to that moment of saying, I want to do this. But I think as soon as you know, and as soon as you really recognize within yourself that you want to do something, that's the first hurdle. And I think a lot of people that call up, picking up the phone is the first step to really getting to a goal. And I think that is motivation in itself, to know that there is something out there like the Conquer Food program, or people that have been through it like myself, or somebody that understands that actually we yo-yo all the time, and is there anything to help us? And picking up the phone, knowing that you want to do something, I think that's a great start to definitely getting yourself motivated to changing your life around.
Amazing. Okay, and the next one is, if you feel like a guilt-ridden failure. Now, this is something, you know, when I talk to people that come on the Conquer Food program or whatever, riddled with guilt. Now, guilt is an absolutely terrible emotion. It's a horrible thing to carry through life. You know, the fact that you feel guilty. And I tell a story all the time whenever I talk about guilt. When Paula and I was driving down the road once, and she slumped into the passenger seat, and I was like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" And she said, "Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it." And I said, "No, come on. You know, tell me what's the matter." And she said, "Oh, no, don't worry." I said, "No, come on. You know, I can see there's something wrong. What's the matter?" And she went, "Well, I've had some peanut M&Ms." And I was like, "So what? It doesn't matter. You know, just get on with your diet and that." And she said, "No, you don't understand, Craig. I've been working so hard. I've done really well all week, and I've freaking let myself down at the end of the week, and I've had some M&Ms." And I was like, "Right, stop." And I pulled the car over, and I said, "Right, burp into those hands." And she's like, "What?" I said, "Go on, burp into those hands." And I made a burp into my hands. And I said, "Right, quick, wind the window down, wind the window down." And I got her to wind the window down, and I threw it out. And I said, "Right, that's your guilt. Gone. You don't need to carry it anymore. What guilt doesn't serve you, it never will serve you. It's a horrible thing to carry. And once you give up that guilt, you can start getting back on the rails, back on the tracks." And I remember she turned around and says, "Do you know what? You're right. I actually feel a bit better." Because, you know, we are the sum of what we consistently do, not the sum of the thing that we do once a week at the weekend or whatever. You know, as long as consistently we're making progress and making the right choices, we don't have to carry that guilt. It's the bump in the road, you know, and we just get on and go again. Now, if you're sat at home and you're feeling like a guilt-ridden failure because you've tried to lose weight, get fit, sort your health out, beat type 2 diabetes, whatever it is in the past, and you've failed, you know, this is the moment I'm talking about, because you can give that up. We're going to offer you a route to give that up. Okay, so that's that. Right, we're going to get, what's Nima saying here? Nima says, "Had the best experience ever and achieved so much. Will be going back as often as I can. Still diabetes free."
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, Nima very rapidly overcame, you know, type 2 diabetes, or completely changed. You know, I don't think you ever kind of completely, you know, eradicate it. There's always that threat there that it may come back, or you suffer from symptoms or whatever, but completely changed what she was doing, the medication that she was on. And like, we all knew what was going on, but I think it came to such a shock to Nima, because a lot of the medical world just sees it as like a terminal thing. Like, you're like, they're never going to get rid of it, because most people don't make the lifestyle changes they need to get rid of it. It's really hard on your own, you know, to do it at home. When you come to camp, we see it all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you seen it in the past? Loads. In the interest of time, I'm going to crack on, but thanks for that input, Nima. What's she saying? So true. Phoning Priya the first time felt scary, but so helpful. That's good. Okay, moving on. So meet Paula. Paula, I'm just going to bring your picture up a little bit more. So this is, this is Paula on the left. As you look at it, is Paula, and I met her.
Yep.
I thought she was a cutie straight away. So just talk to me about, a couple of minutes about life then, what you went through, and kind of life now.
Okay, so life for me has always been controlled, or always been affected by food. So when I was a young adult, I had anorexia because I used to restrict what I ate. But nobody, everyone kind of thought that was okay. It wasn't so bad that I was hospitalized. I was just really tiny because I didn't eat anything, and that was kind of acceptable, as crazy as it sounds. And then my late 20s and my early 30s, when some kind of quite stressful things happened in my life, I swapped and became a binge eater and went up to 20 stone. So I've been kind of 7.5 stone up to 20 stone. So food has always played a big part in my life. So Team Bootcamp for Craig and I came about because I found myself working for another boot camp, and recognized that people that were coming to camp for long periods of time were struggling emotionally. It wasn't all about exercise, and it wasn't all about the nutrition. They were struggling with issues that I could see in myself. That's where the Conquer Food program came from. Actually, is me wanting almost, I think, to heal myself through other people, which is a huge lesson that I've learned, because when we first opened Teen Bootcamp, I still hadn't conquered my eating. I'd been away and studied psychology. I'd studied things about disordered eating, and then started coaching people. And in talking to people, it set off huge triggers for me again, and it would set me on kind of spirals of eating. So it's only in the last year that I can stand up in front of people freely and say, I have conquered my disordered eating or my relationship with food. And it feels the most amazing, wonderful feeling ever. I keep harping on at the moment to people about responsibility. And I think the reason for that is because it's been the biggest and hardest lesson of my life. The fact that I am responsible for every single morsel that I put into my mouth, regardless of the stress that's taken me to this situation that in which I need to do it almost. So for me, boot camp, the Conquer Food program, holds a huge place in my heart because I get it. I 100% get it. There's nobody that comes to that camp struggling from disordered eating, from bad relationships with food, that I don't understand really. So that's me. I'm really proud of what we do. I'm immensely proud of myself because I'm where I want to be, and I'm truly sustaining my mental health, and that is having a knock-on effect on my physical health. So that's me.
And just as a look forward, we're going to share the principles behind Paula completely changing what she's doing, and also what Priya's done in the past, and me as well, just so you can kind of, because the whole program, this is infused through it. So let's move on. Okay, this is me. So although I was in the fitness industry as personal trainer for a long time, and I was in the Marines, I was supposed to be one of the fittest young lads in the country, and actually I was a bit of a porker. So my nickname in the Marines was Pie Shop for a long time, because I was just so much bigger than everybody else. And I just used to say things all the time, like, I'm just big boned, or genetics, all this kind of stuff. And I just thought genetically I was meant to be a bit of a bloater. It wasn't until I started getting help and guidance, support from a guy that just really knew his shit, to put it bluntly, where things started to change. And all of a sudden I was like, well, I can lose weight. I can change my image. I can do all these things. And suddenly all these excuses that I'd had in the past, I was big boned and genetically always meant to be a bit of a pie shop, all fell away. So that was that. And then, what this does for us, like lots of people get into the fitness industry because they're naturally fit, they've naturally got great image, and it's just a natural progression. Whereas for Paula and us, like, we've had our own battles. And I think that shows in the program, and also shows in the results. So we've definitely had our struggles, and it was actually struggle that brought about the Conquer Food program. We was fighting to get people through the door for boot camp, and one day it was like, look, boot camps are dying. Like, the popularity is kind of gone, but there is a massive need for extreme weight or multi-week boot camps, and other boot camps kind of play at it. But because of the way that they do it, it's just not really sustainable. And they were just breaking people and messing up their central nervous system and making people ill, injuries and all this kind of stuff. And we were kind of the first to kind of put a program together that was sustainable, what we call periodized, so you could do it for multiple weeks and kind of, and it's much safer, much more effective. And we can talk about that later on, but we don't need to talk about the nuts and bolts so much as kind of, what it's all about. So we started this new life. This is Paula, punch him in the face, which happens on a daily basis?
Very regular basis.
So that's kind of what's different. Here's a little glance at some of the results we get. Phenomenal amounts of weight. There's a real mixture there of the guy on the right of the screen, Adam, famous in the Conquer Food world. He stayed with us for a year and just completely changed his life. Priel meet in a minute, who's in the middle, top middle, and then even Sally on the bottom side. She did just a few weeks with us, and then went home, put everything into practice, and completely changed who she is. And sustained that incredible results. And we've got hundreds of stories like that. We've done a bit of stuff on TV, the Jeremy Kyle Show, BBC, Sky TV, a few things like that. Anyway, it's just a bit of ego stuff. You just don't need to know about that. What about you? So have you, listening to this, start off, like, do you resonate with the failure thing or the guilt thing? What are you experiencing right now? Because you give us a bit of feedback about you and your situation. And you don't have to go too personal, but it will steer the rest of this. And we've probably got another 10, 15 minutes to go on this, and we can just steer it in the right way. So, what kind of things are you struggling? What is your biggest challenge right now? And if you've got any questions, then fire them through. Or if you're happy for us to carry on, just say carry on, and we'll just keep going. Remember, there is a bit of a delay, so as you fire through the comments and questions, we might be a minute or so behind. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so I want you to stick around. We're doing lots of talking at the minute about the program. I want you to understand that there are some massive savings coming at the end of this presentation, to the point where, like, Paul, when we was talking about it, Paula was like, it was like, wasn't you remember, Priya? You was there. She was like, no. I said, we've got to, come on, we've got to. And so stick around because it is massive. Just about the nuts and bolts a little bit. There's basically 3 things that we talk about a lot in regards to the Conquer Food program. We call them the 3 M's. First of all, we do a lot of work on mindset, and mindset is it's a very common thing, very cliche thing that's banded around. Oh, you just need to improve your mindset. But actually, like, what does that mean? We're going to talk about that in a minute. We'll also give you a model for change. There are things that you are doing right now that are getting you certain results. You change the way you do stuff, you're going to get different results. And that's perhaps slightly different for everybody, but there's a great philosophy in health and fitness, and that is that the methods are many, but the concepts are few. And there are some big hitting things that you can do, certain models and frameworks that you can follow that will get you some incredible results. You just not nailed it yet, or had the support and other things to nail it in the past. And then also motivation. I've got to say, perhaps you guys can agree, disagree, whatever. And motivation's almost not required on the Conquer Food program. Like, you know what I mean? As in,
I think motivation is required, as Priya said, before you come. I think you have to find something that lights a fire in your belly. That is so important. You've got to want this so badly, because I think everybody that's suffering with being overweight or struggling with the amount of food that they're eating knows they don't want to be like this, but they're afraid, or in some cases, some people not prepared to do the work that they have to do to get to where they want to be. And that can then create all this guilt that Craig's speaking about, frustration, feeling of failure. So I think for me, you've got to want it so badly. And actually, it was Team Bootcamp that made me want it so badly, because I struggled with feeling like a hypocrite. I struggled with greeting people on a Friday night, standing up and coaching people about these things, knowing that I was going to go home and eat cake. And so I was not prepared to do that anymore. So every single face that's been through our doors has played a part in my motivation. So it's really important that you think about why you want to change and why you want to do this, because you've got to have something to give you that strength when times get bad, because that's when we fail. Things get difficult and we fall back into old habits like that so quickly. So motivation is important.
Yeah, but once you're at camp, we take care of that.
Yeah, we 100% take care of that at camp. But then you're going to go home again. You're going to be on your own, and that's the biggest test. That's about the sustainability.
Okay, putting people off before
I'm
they
not
even
putting people off. I'm being
No,
real.
no.
I'm being really real about how this
Yeah.
is, because that's important to me.
Okay, a couple of things that we're just going to talk about. So the things that we kind of address, we do a lot of work on belief change. We will all have certain beliefs about ourselves, about our own personal stories, and if we can change those, like my belief for a long time is I can never lose weight. I'm always destined to be fat, and I truly believe that. And the problem with that is that if you believe it, you will always default back to that trajectory. Only when you start to change your belief will you change your life. A couple of common frustrations in regards to that is often we believe that we're a failure. Like I've already said, you get on the scales every week, every day, twice a day, 3 times a day, whatever. Do that thing where you're moving around the room to try and get a lower amount on the scales. We've all been there, and we develop this history, this momentum of failure. And we just believe that we're doomed for failure. It doesn't have to be like that. A feeling that nothing is working. You've literally tried everything, and the truth be told, lots of things work, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you. There might be something different for you, or your body might be that toxic right now that you're struggling to lose weight, or you are insulin resistant. Or leptin resistant, which is another hormone that involves like your appetite and weight gain and all this kind of stuff. All these things, which can prevent you from making progress. Frustrated, thinking that it's always going to be like this, that you just throw in the towel and this is it. And I'm going to stop trying. Martin Seligman did some not great experiments, but he did some experiments with dogs. Where he kind of electrocute dogs, and eventually these dogs kind of gave up trying to avoid the electricity. And we do that. It's called learned helplessness, and we develop learned helplessness. It's hard for me to say, because of our history of failure. We can change that. Just flying through in the interest of time.
Answer some of these questions.
Yeah, we'll chat to Priya again in a minute, but a couple of questions. So Claire, how you doing, Claire? Hope you're good. Back on the meds, plus some more than before. So feel very much back at square one. Yeah, we love you, Claire. I don't.
Yeah, I don't want to. Claire's a really dear friend of mine. So just sending you lots of love, sweetheart, and let's hope we can hook up this weekend.
Yeah, get in the gym, because she's back in the gym. She's back in the gym now. Nicola's saying everything Paula said is 100% me. I struggle with the fact I know what I'm eating is wrong, but I need the help to push to get motivated. I finally feel ready to get some serious help. Yeah, Nicola, this is why we encourage Paula to tell her story, because it's just so many people, are in that state. If you're eating and you're like, just why can't I stop? Why can't I stop it? Why am I eating this? And there's lots of reasons behind it. Too many to kind of go into it right now. But when you start picking that apart, but this is it, right? Okay, we normally find people come to camp and they say, I put on a lot of weight and got unhappy. When we dig into it, we find that people got unhappy and put on a lot of weight, because quite often we eat as a default setting for lots of different stuff. It just cheers us up. We can rely on food just to pick us up, and it might only be for a second, but sometimes we're desperate for that second of bliss or happiness or contentment or whatever, and it can be a struggle. So hang in there, Nicola. Next one, Siobhan. So I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Is the Kung Fu program now integrated with regular boot camp? I recall it being based at a separate location. Yeah, so it was at a separate location. Unfortunately, the economy changed and it just didn't stack up. It's now all kind of located up in the same place as regular boot camp, although it does run on a sort of semi autonomous, well, not autonomous, what's the right word?
They have some training sessions that they all do together. They have other sessions that they do separately. Obviously, the Conquer Foodies have their one-to-ones. They have group therapy. They walk separately. We have lovely lady who's called an AC, which is an activity coordinator, and she will look after the Conquer Foodies sometimes separately. So it's not completely 100% integrated, but unfortunately we couldn't keep it at a separate location post COVID is the real truth and reality.
But the aspirations is to separate it
Yeah.
again. So that's that. Priya, you're up. You want to talk a little bit about your experience? Let me just move this bar again. Yeah, just talk about like early days of the Conquer Food program, first impressions, and some of the big like things that you learned and have sort of carried forward. And
Yeah. So for me, originally, before camp, before I even thought about it, before I knew about it, I used to be at home eating, binge eating, overeating, everything you can think of, knowing that I was doing everything wrong, but not putting in any effort to change it and thinking it's magically going to happen. I'm going to take a magic pill one day and it's going to happen. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. And I knew that I needed to make a big change. And actually what I did was I searched on Google. I was like, fat cap. I need a fat cap. And I got the number. I called up and I spoke to Paula. Immediately, I remember thinking, right, this is what I need. And I booked and I came here. Best decision of my life. When I first got here, I will say that I was very nervous. I knew that I was going to be surrounded by loads of people that I had never known before. I was going to be in a completely different environment, away from home, friends, family. So it was a bit nerve-wracking, but I can tell you honestly, guys, and I'm sure everyone else that's been on the Conquer Food program, even Nima, after day 2 or 3, it feels like you've known everyone forever. And it's nice because they're all in the same boat and they're all going through something similar. So you have people that are with you on a journey where you're not judged. You know, you don't feel out of place. If you say something about overeating or binge eating or bad habits, no one's judging you and they actually understand. Whereas I felt when I was back home, no one really understood. No one could get it into their head that I clearly was addicted to junk food. They thought, stop eating that, just eat your vegetables. Like it was that easy. But when I came on the Conquer Food program, what you realize is that actually you're surrounded by people that really understand that. And that's how I felt. I felt so comfortable because I was surrounded by people that understood, which was really lovely. And then when I got into more of the training element of it and understanding what it's all about and actually learning, things, I felt untouchable. I'm not going to lie, the first week was probably the hardest week of my life. I didn't think I could get past it. And at the time we had a trainer called One-Legged Joe, and he was very much cutthroat. Like, you can do this. You've got this. Come on.
He did have one leg, by the way.
He did really have one leg.
Bless him.
And I remember after day 2, we were on our hike, and the hike was something I've never done before. We were out there for 2.5 hours, 3 hours, beautiful. But I had never done that. I was always in my room. I don't think I could have walked for 30 minutes before coming to camp. I was just really not into fitness whatsoever. And I remember doing this walk, and we were on the walk, and I was going and I was going. I finished it. I completed it. I was at the back. I felt very demotivated. And I remember I was outside and on the verge of tears. And he walked outside and he was just like, what's wrong? And I was like, I want to go home. I can't do this. And he was like, why? And I was just like, it's hard. And he was like, did you need to get picked up from that walk? And I was like, no. He was like, did you complete that walk? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, that's enough said. He was like, shut up, get your butt inside, eat your food and get on with it. And I'm not joking, guys. I know that sounds really mean, but that's what I needed. I needed that little kick up the butt. Like, it was so motivational for me. And I was just like, you're right. Like, why am I going to cry about something like this? I know it's hard and I know we feel emotional, but actually I came and I conquered that and I did that. And I persevered through it and I ended up staying here for 6.5 months. And let me tell you now, every week I got fitter. Every week I was happier. And every week I had learned so many things, gathered just so much information, took the tools away that I needed to understand that I have the capability to do everything. And what's great is that you're not forced to do things. You're given the information, you're given the tools, and it's really about how, like me, for myself, how I implement it in my life, in my real world. When I go home, when I speak to my friends, when I'm around my family. And honestly, guys, it was the biggest, best change of my life. And I do say this, before I wouldn't talk to anyone. I was the most quiet person.
Yeah, I remember when you turned up.
Yeah, no.
I was so silent for like the first like month at least. I just wasn't talking, and then now you can't shut me up.
Yeah, it definitely changed.
So it was massive change, all for the best.
And now she's our sales manager.
Woo! So I've been there, guys.
A couple of questions just to catch up. So Claire's saying, got to see you in the gym, Pete. Yeah, it's going to happen. Neba's saying, worked really well being with the classic campers, met loads of people. Oh, thanks, Neba. That's good.
Of course, because Nima was down the bottom. So Nima was at camp when we made that transition. So that's good. Thanks for that, Nima.
Okay, moving on. Yeah, so a couple of things. Let's just crack on because we don't need to go through this.
Priya can go through, or I can when people phone.
Right, so this is it. If we talk about like what fundamentally what you're going to get, we want to take you from guilt-ridden sugar addict to food-free fitty. Imagine that. Imagine life where you're free of the restraints that food puts on you, or free from the restraints of the effects of poor eating or a lack of exercise. Okay, this is kind of where we want to lead you. And how do you get these results? So there's a couple of things. This is the Conquer Food program. I know you can't really see it on the screen right now, but I want you to understand that it is a framework. Okay, there's no superhero at camp that's going to do some incredible work and suddenly give you the results. We have a system, and if you can follow the system, then you can get the results. It really is as simple as that. Like I said, there's different layers to it. Layers, whatever it is. Belief change, habit change, life change. But there's also a few other aspects that you've perhaps not kind of thought about. 4 elements. We call it the MAPS environment. Now, I don't know of anybody that has made significant change in their life, in their health and in their lifestyle or their body image without a MAPS environment. So let me explain what it is. Again, you two jump in if you so feel. So first of all, M stands for mentoring and coaching. Okay, you've got to be kind of taught things and kind of and led, and there's a big difference from like just like being told what to do and being kind of mentored, like that thing with Priya, where One-Legged Joe come out and he took a bit of time there to explain to her that you can sit there in your little pity party, which we all love, a good pity party, or you can, but sometimes that stops you from recognizing the wins. And the fact was she'd made a huge win. She got a huge win, and that would go unnoticed unless she kind of broke out of that pity party. It took a bit of mentoring and coaching to do that, and all the staff on the team will do little bits of that. We teach them all that somebody's life will change, and it will just take one comment on one day by one person, and you can change someone's life. And, that's kind of what we work towards. The A is accountability. You've got to have some accountability. Imagine now if we all walked around naked. Like obesity would go down because everything that we ate in public, we wear everything we eat in private. We would wear in public, and you'd be able to see exactly what I'm up to, exactly what Paula's up to, and all this kind of stuff. Because we don't got clothes to cover it up, and that's exactly what it's like when you have accountability. We have a weighing procedure, measurement procedure, and it's not guilt based like some weight loss programs. It's very much about just having that bit of accountability. If we know what's happening, we can kind of adjust and change and move in the right direction. And that accountability is really key, both with your weight and fitness, but also your mindset coaching. Okay, so a bit of accountability with that. Peer support is massive. We've got Nima on the call here. We've got Claire on the call, other people that have been to boot camp, Priya as well. Those people around you are really, really important and a massive part of your progress, whether it's just to keep you going when you feel like giving up, whether it's to, bounce ideas off, whether it's to share past experiences and traumas and that kind of stuff. But peer support is massive. And we actually do lots of what we call peer-to-peer coaching sessions, now, don't we? Like we'll have peer-led, that's the word I'm looking for, where, as a group, you're kind of working without a trainer because there's some phenomenal knowledge, experience, and within the group. And sometimes if you're just listening to one person at the front of the classroom or start at the head of the training session, that's lost. But the peer-to-peer stuff is really, really important. And then the other one is strategies and frameworks. So the S is strategies and frameworks. And like I said before, the methods are many, but the concepts are few. And we kind of boil things down to the very basics. And we pretty much guarantee, how many people do you think we've had through the door at Team Boot Camp in the past, Paula? Just give or take.
I have no idea. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Oh, into the thousands, easy. Into the thousands. And I've only ever come across 2 or 3 people that biologically cannot lose weight, so this belief that you've got of like, I'm one of the people that I just can't lose weight. You might struggle, but you can, you just got to do the right things. And sometimes we've got to change a few things and keep, manipulating the program so we get a result. But chances are you can. Like, like 2 people out of 1,000 is, you will lose weight. Again, if you've got questions, comments, fire them through. And like I said before, there is a little bit of a delay. So that's what it takes to win. Okay. So those factors, like I said, I don't know anybody that's significantly changed their life and not had those things in place. So what kind of things does this program cost? What is the value of the program? Now, don't worry, nobody pays this price for the Conquer Food program, but I just want you to understand kind of what's going on. So the core training, 5 to 6 hours of activity every day, 6 days a week. If you work out that with a personal trainer, it's well over £25,000 based on 12 weeks, which, it's a lot of money because it's a lot of training, and our trainers are really, really good at what they do. They're not your average, spotty teenage trainer down the gym. They're really expert in what they do. Add the food and nutrition based on 3 meals, couple of snacks, plus your coaching and your nutrition training is over £10,000 based on £20 a day for food. It's not, I'm pretty sure people on this now pay a lot more than £20 a day in their food. But if you did pay £20 a day, over the program with your coaching, it's about £10,000. Oh, and your accommodation as well. So with your accommodation in there, think about the price of an average B&B or average hotel. For 12 weeks, it's that in itself is pretty good value for money. On the program, although it's not included in this course, we also in this sale you get a certain amount of one-to-one coaching with a mindset coach, a very, very good coach who specializes in this kind of thing. You also do weekly group coaching sessions. The value for that is about £600 plus, based on 2 sort of 90-minute group coaching sessions a week. And then we do have like a peer support web community. And if you paid £49 a month for 12 weeks, for 12 months, then, that costs about £600. So all in all, you're getting on for kind of £36,000 for a program like this if you was going to bolt it all together. Now, obviously, we get economy of scale. We get to run the Conquer Food program alongside the classic boot camp, so we can make some savings there because very few people are going to pay £36,000 for a 12-week residential. So we charge a lot less than that. I'd love to give you an actual price, but because it's based on your duration of your stay, the accommodation type, and all this kind of stuff, you kind of got to work with Priya Paula to put like a personalized quote together, really. All right, so which is why we're not sharing an actual price. Okay, so what is this sale? And this is probably mostly what you're here for. So we have decided, Paul has decided, accepted. We're going to sell a limited number of Conquer Food places. Bearing in mind, there's, I don't know there's 16 people online right now. This is going out to about 50 people that have registered for this sale. It'll go pretty quick, but we've decided that we're going to put a certain number of Conquer Food programs to weeks to one side, and we're going to sell it at half price, half the normal cost. If you book within the next 2 weeks. The reason why we're doing this is we normally throw the Conquer Food in with our Black Friday sale. Now, what experience has shown us is that the decision-making process, the period in which the time it takes to make a decision about the Conquer Food program is naturally greater because there's more to think about. We're talking bigger figures, longer stays. People need to get time off work. They need to organize childcare, whatever. And there's just a bigger decision-making period. So we've pulled it out of the Black Friday sale. We're running it now. We're calling it the pre-season sale. And we're going to run this for the next 2 weeks until Black Friday, in which point we're then going to sell the Classic Camp on the Black Friday prices. Okay, so that's why we're running this now.
Also, can I just add something to that? One thing that we learn every time people leave after the Conquer Food program, I'm a real advocate of what are the things that we can learn from this, what mistakes did we make. And one thing that we make sure we do with everybody now is have a kind of a Zoom interview before we make the decision, do you want to come on the program, and are you right for the program? Because some people just aren't ready. They're not ready for they're not ready for change, because it is hard work. And I know Craig will say I'm putting you off again now, but I'm not. It's really important for me that people understand that this is a huge life-changing thing, but you're doing all the work. We're just giving you the tools, and it is hard work. It's so rewarding and so empowering. And I think just Nima, if Nima was on here now, she would she would say, she's actually got a podcast if anyone wants to listen to it, 'cause it's so interesting, but it is hard work, and there's days where you'll hate us and like Priya want to go home, but it's nothing changes without change, and we can't make huge drastic changes to our lives with the same patterns of behaviors that we're running with at the moment. So the thing that we've learned is you have to be ready for this program, and so it's really important that we have a good chat with you beforehand. It's not something that's done via email as it used to be, and definitely as the Classic Camp is. It's a completely different ball game.
And I think as well, we're let me just flash this up on the screen. So Nima's saying it's worth every penny. Yeah. It's not peanuts we're talking about. You're going to want to speak to somebody on the phone or, on Zoom or whatever, just to make sure like what you sign up for is right. And that's only right that you kind of do that. So that's it. So we're putting aside 48 weeks. That sounds a lot. That's 4 12-week programs. Like I said, there's 17 people online right now. I'm pretty sure these are going to go pretty quick. The way to book, just so it's kind of fair with everyone, I'm going to flash the email up on the screen now. Is to email Paula at teambootcamp.com. If you've got the admin app, teambootcamp.com already set, and you've been sending messages backwards and forwards to Priya and all that kind of stuff, that's good enough. You can chat to Priya as well. Send it. It starts with an email. It's simple as that. There's no complicated form to fill in, all that. Just send an email. Tell them that you've been on this webinar and that you're interested, and kind of take it from there. Now, although we've put 48 weeks aside, that may get split up. Someone might want 6 weeks, someone might want 8 weeks. But as soon as those 48 weeks are done, they're done. So, it really is simple as that. Now, we can't do more. Why can't we do more, Paula?
Because our accountant won't allow us to do more. It's a simple reality of it. He's a bit of a tyrant as well. That's why. That is why. That's it. I can't make up any flouncy. It is what it is. But I think it's really important to me that this goes out to the people that really need it.
Yeah.
and that are going to make the most of it.
So if you're in the process of sending the email, then let me know. Say I've sent an email or whatever, just so, because we can't obviously check now. But so no doubt you'll have questions. Okay, so if you've got questions, now is the kind of time to ask questions. So fire the questions into the box, and then we'll do questions for probably 10 minutes and kind of finish off with those questions. Whatever they are, doesn't really matter. We'll tackle them to the best of our ability. Whilst we're waiting for those questions to come in, a couple of slides to finish us off. This is the program again. There's 11 steps, although there's 12 on the screen. One's a start week. You have an induction week, which is very much like the shock of capture, rabbit in the headlights. Oh my God, what have I done?
Maria remembers that.
Yeah. Nicola, thank you very much for doing that. There's a couple of questions. We'll come on to this in a minute. We'll come on to the price in a minute. And then, so just a couple of things, just to kind of, if you're kind of on the fence or whatever, imagine now, in 3 months' time and nothing's changed. Imagine sort of 6 months' time and you're still in the same boat. Imagine like another 12 months, this time next year, and you're exactly the same, if not worse off. Really, do think about that. This really is a moment, and financially, there's no better time. And the way that the program's running, everything now, this really is a great time to be doing this. You might be sort of thinking, well, is it worth my investment of time and money? Well, there's lots of things that I could do to tackle this. Imagine all the money that you spend on food and socializing, all this kind of stuff. It's going to be kind of thereabouts. So that you're spending money. This really is an investment of money. Well, if you already have a gym membership and trainer, perfect, because it's not an alternative to that. It will bolster that. You'll get more from your gym membership when you get back, and more from your training, because you'll be like, well, actually, I've experienced really good training, and maybe we need to step it up, or maybe it'll give you a bit of reassurance of that your trainer is training you in the right manner. You'll get back and you'll be in a much better state to train. There's just lots of benefits, and you don't have to worry that if you've got a gym membership and trainer right now, this is different. So don't worry about that. Okay, so the last bit from me, I'm going to get into questions. If not now, if you don't tackle this now, when the biggest objection we get is money, and we've halved that, when and how are you going to do it? I really want you to kind of think about that. Okay, so Paula Priya. So
What have we got?
So we've got first one. Sorry, how much is it, please? So
okay, well, that's dependent on so many things. So it's half price, but if you send an email through to us, we can let you know. So it depends on how many weeks. So the minimum, and I think this answers somebody else's question that I saw come up, the minimum for the Conquer Food program is 6 weeks. So anything less than that, then it would be Classic Camp. So just send through an email, and depends on weeks, depends on room type. We have winter glamping options right the way through to VIP suites. So it really, that's...
Can you do like a from a set point to...
Not off the top of my head for 6 weeks. Priya probably can, because she's a bit of a whiz with technology.
I think it just gives people a bit of an idea, doesn't it? Prices from, for a 6 week.
I think it's about 2,700 for 6 weeks for our pod, for the glamping.
So the basic accommodation... and then goes up to
So from 6 weeks, guys, obviously for the offer that we've got, it's for our shared rooms, single rooms, double en-suites, and executive en-suites as well. It is starting from about, like Paula said, 2,700, so £2,697.
I mean, what's that over 12 weeks? Have we checked these figures? Because I'm not sure we can do it.
No, listen, I told
That's
you
6
I
weeks.
nearly had heart failure.
Yeah.
That's a 6 week program. So it's starting from, so that's 6 weeks. And then obviously it goes up depending on your room type, like Paula said. Obviously we have more the executive suites, which are the VIP suites.
That's about £500 a week, isn't it?
I think it's less, actually.
Less than £500 a week
it's
for
less than,
accommodation, food, training, coaching.
You can't find this anywhere else. Honestly, guys, it's
That's shocked me a little bit. Hopefully that answers your question. It's hard to give you an actual figure until you start deciding, what kind of accommodation and that you kind of want to do. So let's get on with some of the other questions. There's an email coming your way. Brilliant, Nicola.
Thank you,
Speak to you soon.
Nicola.
Is this camp separate to the standard week-long camp from the team?
So as we spoke about earlier, there are so we're at the same location. There are some training, so quite a bit of training actually now that you do alongside the classic camp. There are other things that are exclusive to the Conquer Food program, and that's done separately. So I think we still have 2 separate boards. So when they double up, it's on one board, and then they'll go off and do the things that are exclusive to Conquer Food. So they kind of go like this, if that makes sense, with the things that are really important. And I think when we first started this program and they run alongside in conjunction, that's one of the lessons that we learned. There are certain things that need to be separate. Also, some people come initially on the Conquer Food program and have done no training whatsoever, and so they're not able to do some of the training. And so we have our lovely Emily, the AC, who will take you away and do that separately. So it runs in conjunction. Yeah.
Okay, next one. Great offer. Thank you very much, Anna. Is it 6-week minimum stay for Conquer Food still?
Yes, it is. Hello, Anna. Anna's just been, hasn't she?
Yes, she has.
Hello, Anna.
Yeah, Anna, let me just put a bit of context around that. So the reason why it's minimum 6-week stay. Now, for some people, if they're really struggling with sugar, fatty food, addiction, that kind of stuff, the first 2 weeks is not really going to cut it. It can take some people up to 21 days to withdraw from refined sugar. It can take up to 21 days to withdraw from fast food and that kind of stuff. Therefore, if you did a 4-week program, a 2, 3, 4-week program, you're barely getting rid of that addictive nature of the food before you start to look at getting home safely and being able to crack on. Hopefully that makes sense. What we want you to do is to be well clear of those chemical drivers to eat and to overeat before you start thinking about going home. We also want you to start a habit. Now, depending on what literature you read, some people say it takes 21 days to form a habit. Some people say it doesn't. The actual most current thinking is that it depends on what you're actually trying to do. Now, from our experience, anything less than 6 weeks, you haven't created enough of a habit in regards to your fitness and eating habits. It takes longer than that for them to become permanent change. So that's basically why we do sort of 6-week minimum stay. And any other reasons why?
No, that's it. That's the absolute reason. It's anything up to that is just through my own personal experience and the experience that, because we've been doing this 10 years now. It's mad when you think about that. It's just not enough. 6 weeks is the minimum.
Okay, is the standard program 12 weeks? Do we discuss how many weeks is ideal for each person based on individual circumstances? Yeah, so we do multiples of sort of 2 so 6, 8, 10, 12, just good periods of time to do that.
Yeah, we do that just for ease, but you could do 7, you could do 9. It's entirely up to you, but that's something to discuss with, Priya and myself. The only thing we can't do, and I have been asked by somebody already, is split the weeks. Somebody asked if they could do 3 weeks with a couple of weeks off and then another 3 weeks again. No, and for the reasons that Craig mentioned earlier, experience has told us that you need a straight 6 weeks.
Claire's saying outstanding value for what you get. She knows. Thank you very much. Can you do a payment plan? Payment plans are quite hard, purely because the price is a big part of the accountability. You can add your bit in a minute. Like if you only paid a little bit up front, trust me, when you did the first week, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm out of here. You can't.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. We've seen it time and time again. And in fact, when we start banding the ideas around for a sale like this, we wanted to do a really good sale. We thought, what about if we gave people half the money back after completing 4 weeks? And it was like, that just seems messy and it's just, thing. But like having that investment in the program is a huge part of the accountability. Huge, So
that is the reason. I never ever do. The only time I've ever done part payments or payment plans for the Conquer Food program is with a parent, and I make them promise to tell whoever that it is that they've paid for it in full, for accountability, because there will be times, and I keep saying this, where you will just want to pack your bags and disappear in the night, and that makes it so much easier. That accountability is huge.
That said, you can do. We'll talk a little bit about how to book and what's required to book in a minute. But you don't have to like pay by this time tomorrow, otherwise you're out. In fact, I might as well go through it now. Like, what is the deposit?
Well, no, it's there is no deposit. It's when it's a sale. Any sale is payment.
All right.
Full
Okay.
upfront,
All right.
and that's it.
Nicola, best thing to do, just send the email.
Speak to me, Nicola, or Priya, and we'll have a chat.
Nima's saying, "Wow, great price." Keep it to yourself, Nima. Keep it to yourself. Can we call to discuss the difference? Is the format between Conquer? Yeah, of course you can. What are you taking calls tonight, or not bothered about?
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if you want to call sort of, now, then Priya can nip out and chat to you. If you want to, wait, then we can get in touch tomorrow. You can call in. But yeah, this is what we're saying. You're gonna want to.
It's important too as well.
You put your mind at ease, and like I've got to, this is an incredibly powerful program, but it's not for everybody, right? And so as much as you're kind of want to get the program right for you, we need to make sure that you're kind of ready for the we've had people come in the past and they're just not ready. In fact, quite often the Jeremy Kyle show would send people to us and like they just weren't ready for that change. And you can tell, from what they're saying and all this kind of stuff. So there is a bit of a conversation to be had both ways to make sure that you're going to get the most from this. So feel free.
Absolutely. And that actually, Siobhan, that's one of the reasons that we've separated it, because we do need to spend more time with you and have a Zoom or a phone. I'm much better with the Zoom. I like to be able to see people. Priya's better on the phone.
Okay, like I said, so we're going to start wrapping up unless there's more questions come in or comments come in. That's the email that's on the screen right now, paula@team-bootcamp.com. Okay, just send a message through there. Mention that you've been on the webinar, that you get the webinar offer. We're going to run this until, is it the 23rd of November? I think it is, there or thereabouts. Yeah. So a couple of weeks. But like I said, we're only putting aside 48 weeks. It seems like a lot.
48 weeks.
That's not a lot when people start booking 6-week blocks, 12-week blocks, and 8-week blocks. It'll soon go. So that's pretty much all I've got to say. Anything from you two?
No, just call us.
Yeah.
And let's have a chat about it. And just from me, you've got to be willing to just let it all go and embrace it, practice it, do it, and come out the other end feeling amazing.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up now. Thanks for joining us, everybody that's been on the call tonight. You will receive a couple of emails just reminding you of the offer over the next couple of days. And we know that there's going to be a bit of a period of like digesting what we've said and that kind of stuff. So you can expect that. So, and we'll also send out a replay of this so you can watch it back. So thanks again. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
And hopefully we'll see you soon. Take care.